Welcome back, everybody. In this tutorial we're going to continue with the door and the triggers. The last thing I want to do with this is change it from opening just by Laura stepping on this pad in front of the door. I want to make it a door that's activated by a key. So we'll put a keyhole over here next to the door, and then Laura will have to find and use a key in that keyhole to open the door. So the first thing we're going to have to do with that is go back to WAD tool, because in our current WAD there are no keys and there are no keyholes. Let's just do a quick check. There's the keys for the keyboard controls, but that's it. So we need an actual key in the game, of course. So let's go to WAD tool. And in the source WAD, I'm going to open up that Beyond the Basics Peru WAD that we've been using that has keys and keyholes both in it. So we're going to start with that as our source. So now with the Back to Basics Peru WAD open, I also need to open the WAD that we've been creating in the last couple tutorials. So this one just has our door type 5 in so far. What we want to do now is add a key and a keyhole. So I'm going to just search over here. I'm going to search for a key. So let's use this. It probably looks familiar to you if you've played Tomb Raider before. And it's called key item 1. So I'm going to add that object to our custom WAD we're building. So now I want to find the keyhole that matches this key. Let me search for key a couple times again. Remember, when I put key in and hit enter, it'll scroll through anything with the word key in the title. So there's various keys here. But then I want to move on to this, which is keyhole 1. And remember, this is key item 1. So I'm going to add that to our custom WAD over here. Let's save this. Now back in Tomb Editor, I want to make sure that is reloaded, our new WAD. I'm going to go to Object Files. I'm going to unload this. I highlighted it, and I'm going to trash it. And I'm going to load it back in again. And I also want to check the sound info. Remember, you want to update that. So I'm going to auto detect that. And then I'm going to apply and OK everything. So now when I search for key, we have our key here. And we should also have our keyhole. So let's find the keyhole. I'm going to place that first, actually. As I scroll through this list, you can see key item 1 is right here, and right below it is keyhole 1. I could have also searched, of course. So I'm going to select that, press our plus button, and then come over here and place it right there. You can see it's facing the wrong direction right now. I can just grab this handle and rotate it so it goes against that wall. So there's our keyhole place. Now we have to put the key somewhere. I added a small room down in our pool room here. I added this extra little corridor. And I'm going to put the key back here in this corridor. That'll give Laura a place to have to find the key. Obviously, it's not going to be very hard to find. But just to make it a little Tomb Raider-ish, I want her to have to find it instead of it just sitting out in front of her. So remember, in this scrolling list that I had open earlier, key and keyhole are above and below each other right here. Since I know the key was listed right above this item, I can just click this up arrow and it will go up to the next item in the list. Key item 1. If I were to click down now, it goes down to the keyhole. So I'm going to select it that way this time. You can also use these arrows to just move up and down through this list one item at a time. So I have the key selected. I'm going to add it to that spot right there. Now to make these work, we have to update our triggers. So Laura, of course, will pick this key up automatically. I don't have to add anything to that to make her recognize that it's a key and it can be picked up. But to make it work in the door, the switch and the door, we have to update our triggers over here. So I'm going to take the trigger off of this spot right there. We don't want that to be a trigger anymore. So over here in triggers, I'm just going to click the trash can. That will delete the trigger. Oh, I have to highlight it and then delete it. There we go. So now that trigger that's going to open the door is gone. To make a key in a keyhole open a door, the first thing I want to do is select this platform right here that is on the same space as the keyhole. Let me zoom in a little bit. And then also select the keyhole, holding down Shift. Now we're going to create a trigger right there. And you'll see the trigger type now is key. And it's going to affect the object keyhole 1 that we placed. That's exactly what we want. So we can OK that. I'm going to also select the door. I held down Shift and selected the door. And you'll see that the keyhole became unselected and the door became selected, and the platform or the floor is still selected. So I'm going to add another trigger to that. I'm going to leave that as trigger object door. So now let's take Laura and go grab that key. So you can see down in the water there is where I added that little cubby hole at. I changed the lighting in it a little bit. The ambient lighting, I gave it a brighter green color. So, you know, the player can see that, oh, there's something down there. Let me go check it out. So let's swim over here and get the key. Like I said, we didn't add any functionality to this over here. But when I select, you know, Laura to pick it up, she grabs the key. Now remember, we used to have a trigger here that we deleted, so obviously the door's not opening. And even when I step on this floor, it doesn't open that door, even though the floor was set to trigger the door, because the floor is also set first as a key trigger. So I have to use the key first, and then the trigger will also affect the door and open the door. So let's use that key. Now that opens the door, and we can move on. I still have the triggers on the opposite side of the door set up, so they're working fine. So that is the basics for setting up a door key combination. I also want to set up a little bit of an enemy trigger, something we haven't looked at yet, but since we're looking at triggers, let's trigger an enemy. So what I want to do for this enemy is I want to put a trigger in here. So when she picks up the key, that's going to trigger an enemy, and it'll be up here in the pool room waiting for her when she comes up out of the water. So a little bit of a surprise. You come in, you look around the room, everything seems fine. You go down here, grab a key, you come out, and now you're going to be attacked by something. So what I want to do is use the bat. It's a pretty traditional, pretty simple enemy. But that bat also does not exist in this WAD. There's no bat in there. And also in our source WAD we've been using, you'll see that there is one in the source WAD we've been using over here, the Back to Basics Peru from 2008. I'm sure we could use this one just fine. What I want to do is take this opportunity to show you that on the Tomb Engine website, there's also a bunch of resource downloads that have been updated and tweaked to work in Tomb Engine. And a bat is on there. So I want to use that one. I would consider it a newer bat because it's been tweaked specifically to work in Engine. So I'm just going to close WAD tool for now. And let's go get that bat. I'll put a link in the description to the Tomb Engine website. So once you get to Tomb Engine, up here in the top navigation, there's one called Resource Downloads. I believe the bat I want to get is from Tomb Raider 4. Yes. So you can see here you have resource downloads from Tomb Engine, Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then depending on the different games, you have different resources to download. Sometimes maybe you have traps and vehicles. This one you have enemies, traps, and sounds. So it's going to depend what you have to download depending on which game you're looking for the resources from. The bat we're looking for is from Tomb Raider 4, and it's this bat right here. I've already downloaded it, so it's here, but you'll want to go ahead and download that, and then we can use it in WAD tool to update our WAD with the latest bat file that has been tweaked to run specifically in Tomb Engine. Now I want to open up that bat WAD we just downloaded. It should just be called TR4 Bat WAD 2. Should be the only thing in here. There's only the bat. So I'm going to add that to our custom WAD, save that, and close. Let's go back to Tomb Editor. And I'm going to add a bat above the pool. I did not update our WAD, so there's currently no bat in here. Let me do that update. Sometimes I'll get going, moving quickly, and forget to update something. But let's delete our current WAD and load in the new one that of course has the bat. I'm specifically not going to update the sounds at this point, just to show you how that works. So the bat should be silent, and we'll fix it of course before we're done, but there's the bat. Now it's in here. There it is. I'm going to drag it up towards the ceiling. Now what I want to do is, remember I said I wanted when Laura picks up this key to trigger that bat. So I'm going to select the floor right here under the key. And I'm going to get a hold of this bat here and set up a trigger. It's going to trigger the object bat when Laura is on that floor. So let's check that out. You'll see when I look up at the ceiling, we don't see a bat right now because it hasn't been triggered yet. It will only show up in the game once it's been triggered. Let's go grab that key. I'm going to swim to the other side of the pool. You can see the bat is up there attacking me. But we're not hearing any sounds, right? You don't hear it screeching or flying. So let's fix that. Remember, on purpose I did not load the sounds, just so you can see if you're playing the game testing something and something seems weird, maybe you just forgot to load the sounds. So let's go back and do that. Let's go into our tools, level settings, sound info, auto detect, yes, apply, okay. Now let's try that again. And there should be sound for the bat. So now when I swim up out of here, the bat should have its sounds as we would expect. Oh, there he is. Let's see if he comes over. I hear sounds. He's chirping, flapping. And there he is. I got him. So that's it. We've added our first enemy, and we've added a door that is now triggered by a key. Probably going to add a couple more bats to this room, so there's a little more of a battle that Laura has to do. But that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one.